Good evening, everyone. My name is Mr. Spears. I'm the music teacher here at Bronzeville Classical School, and I'm also going to be the moderator for our very first Bronzeville Classical School Local School Council Forum. We are very excited to have several candidates, both for the parent slots and for our community slots today. Thank you for joining us. I'm just going to go over a couple of ground rules on how the procedures are going to go today. So, candidates will speak and answer questions in an order that we will choose right now. We're going to choose randomly with some numbers, and then our candidates will speak in that order for the evening. Each candidate will have just over 2 minutes to introduce themselves, discuss their platform, and or give any relevant information regarding their candidacy for parent representation or community representation on the Bronzeville Classical School Local School Council. We are going to give them a 2-minute warning, and we're asking all of our candidates to limit to 4 or 5 minutes at the most. It doesn't have to be 2 minutes either. That's not a minimum. The candidates, we will ask for questions from all of you out there in YouTube land, and then those submitted questions will be asked of all of our candidates, and each candidate will have between 30 and 45 seconds to answer them in the order that they are chosen. So we're going to go ahead and begin with that order. So I'm going to ask all of our parent candidates to choose a number, and then I'll ask for number 1, 2, and so on. And then that'll be the order for our parents. So have at it. Their names?
On the second
Are they like their names on them?
Yeah, why?
I don't know. This is Miss Spicer. All right, so I guess number 1. All right. Let's see. All right. Number 2. Number 3.
Right here.
Number 4. Number 5. Number 6. Number 7. I think we have a 7. 8. And I don't think we have 9. Oh, 9. All right, so let's do the same for our community members. They get orange. Yes.
And I can appreciate that because it's very fuzzy.
All right, so I guess it starts with 11. And your name is?
Dwayne Davis.
Okay. Number 12.
Michelle Brown.
13. And 14.
Tamara Hoffman.
All right, so that's the order that we'll go in. We'll start with number 1 with our parents. We'll do the parents first with introductions and opening statements, and then we'll move into our community members. So number 1, I'll let you go on and come up. Introduce yourself. Whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Bronzeville family and distinguished members of the podium. I'm Dr. Charles Barron, and I have two kids here at Bronzeville, one in the second grade, Miss Dallin, and one in the fourth grade, Mr. Charles. And I'm sure probably everyone knows Charles. He is the politician and the comedian and everything else around here. So I'm Dr. Barron. I'm the Chief Medical Officer for Aunt Martha's Health and Wellness, which is a group of federally qualified health centers here, in the state of Illinois. We have about 27 sites throughout the state. We also work closely with DCFS, Department of Children and Family Services, where we provide services for some of the most complex youth in the state. We have a facility on 5001 South Michigan where we provide shelter and comprehensive care for these youth in the state. And these youth are maybe from beyond medical necessity to lockouts from their homes or disruptions from foster care, and so forth. I also have an MBA from Olivet University. I'm a certified healthcare executive from UCLA, and a lot of other alphabets and stuff behind my name. But one of the biggest things for me, and the reason why I joined or decided to run for LSC, is that I can bring a clinical perspective to this group. I met most of the panel, and very intelligent, very bright, very committed to Bronzeville, and and come from various walks of life. And I think that that's very, very important. But I think what makes me unique for this group is that I can bring this clinical perspective. We have dealt with the pandemic and the youth.
That's 2 minutes, but keep going.
Wow,
Please. Yeah, please.
All right, so we have dealt with the pandemic, and we've seen the impact that it has had on our youth. But the other thing that we sometimes forget to look at is the impact that it had on the adults. So there's adverse childhood experiences that we also always talk about in behavioral health, and there's also adverse adulthood experiences. And what studies have shown is that those adult experiences have been more impactful on functioning than what is happening to the children. So we cannot forget about all the stakeholders that have been have to deal with the pandemic, but also going beyond the pandemic, because there'll be other things. There's a lot of things that have been going on. There's a lot of behaviors and things that we've seen, emails and kind of talked about on the outside of the school about what's going on in the school. So what we need to figure out is, how do we support? How do we prevent some of these things from happening? How can we recognize them? How can we support our teachers, our staff members, and everyone involved in identifying issues before they become bigger issues? And I've told the panel before when we talked is that not everything is a 911, but everything is a 411. We need to be able to get more information and be able to provide resources for our stakeholders. And so if I'm elected to LSC, one of the biggest things I want to do is make sure that we are looking at the social, emotional wellness of all stakeholders. We want to make sure that we're providing those resources for them. We want to make sure that the parents have some outlet or somewhere to go or know where to get information for support. Because a lot of times we're making these assumptions that parents got it and everything, but some of these behaviors may be coming because the parents aren't really able to provide those resources and those things that those kids need. And also, let's not forget about our teachers and make sure that they have the resources and the tools in their kit to be able to provide adequate support and have the support for themselves and self-care and wellness as well. So I'll end there, but I just want to say in closing is that whether it's me or any of you guys who are very, very well capable of doing the job, just always remember that in the middle of our decisions is a child that's waiting to thrive.
Thank you, Dr. Barron.
Good afternoon, everyone. The kids know me here at Bronzeville as Auntie Joyce. I'm Joyce Brown. I've gotten to know many of the little Bronzeville Eagles here. I'm a legal parent guardian. of a smart, ambitious, and talented third grader here at Bronzeville. But I'd say I'm just an average girl given an extraordinary blessing to raise a phenomenal nephew. That makes me the parent guardian, so I'm very proud to do that. From what I understand, the LSC does not require that we promote our professional accolades. Not necessary. You just need to be a parent or a teacher representative or a community representative, because we all have the same interest in not only the school and the community, but our little ones here. But it's because of my nephew. That's the reason why I'm here today. That's what has given me this opportunity. So due to his academic nature and his thrive to excel, we have become a part of the BCS family since it opened its doors in 2018. And I'm very, very proud of that. Very proud to be a part of this family. Why did I decide to run for the position of the BCS LSC? My history, a little bit probably aged, dated on some folks, would just be the PTA from the old schools back when I grew up. It's a different tenure here. I have no experience as ever serving on an LSC, but I'm much aware of its responsibilities. I'm very interested in maintaining the founding culture of Bronzeville Classical and how our kids' education is impacted by this culture. All of our children's success will depend on the early decisions that we make as a family and as a community. Responsibilities of the LSC, from what I understand, would be participating in establishing academic standards for our students, making sure that we have a financially balanced budget to maintain, maintaining expertise and talented teachers as well as our principal, having collective partnerships with entities throughout the city of Chicago, and maintaining a safe environment for our kids to attend this school inside and out. I'd like to be a part of that team to help make those decisions. I also grew up in Bronzeville many years ago, and I find it ironic that I'm back here after 2 generations or additional generations in my family born into existence. So, as a product of CPS, my parents unfortunately did not have a seat at the table when it came to making decisions about the direction of how our school led its pupils. Much of this resulted in lack of opportunity for so many underprivileged and undeserved youth on this side of town. As I listed in my brief bio, the qualities that I would bring if elected, if you should elect me to the LSC, would be my enthusiasm, honesty, and conscientious thinking and attention to detail in what I do. I volunteered in several capacities here at BCS since it opened its doors. So I've gotten a feel of what it's really like to collaborate with the parents, students, and the teachers here at BCS. Thank you very much.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Daryl Seaton. I am the proud father of a brilliant and athletic 4th grader, Madison, and I'm here to run for the local school council. My reason to run is based on 3 things. First, as an LSC member, we have a fiduciary duty and responsibility to make sure our school budget is approved, to assess the principal and provide feedback where necessary, and to adapt or update the continuous improvement work plan to make sure the school is functioning as we want it to be. My overall goal, however, is to make Bronzeville Classical the best school in the country, whose educational policies and models are marveled or copied around the world. To that end, my focus is in 3 areas. Because we are in a difficult educational environment that's been thrust upon us by the pandemic, as LSC members, it's incumbent on us to listen to all our stakeholders, whether that be teachers, students, parents, or staff, or members outside the community. Second, to provide support to the initiatives they deem effective and necessary for the functioning of the school. And thirdly, to provide solutions to the problems that the school is facing. If I was a superhero, my mutant ability or superpower would be collaboration, leadership, communication, problem solving, and creativity. And lastly, I want to be the advocate for our school community. The pandemic has not allowed us to foster communication or relationships to the extent that existed before the pandemic. I think that is a necessary function or a necessary component of a well-functioning school, and we need to get that back. And I'm totally committed to making sure that happens. I would like to invite all of our parents and community members to become more involved in the school as the pandemic loosens its grip on our society and our everyday lives, because I think that's just as important as well. I want to let all of you know that we have a very well-rounded and diverse group of candidates running, and I think once the LSC is voted on, you'll be in very capable hands. So if you have any questions for me, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you for your time this evening, and thank you for your consideration. One more thing, sorry. I wanted to give a big shout out to our 5th grade boys and girls basketball teams on competing their inaugural season. And I want to send a huge shout out to our co-ed basketball team that has experienced an undefeated season, and to let you all know we're pulling for you in the playoffs. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, out in YouTube land and to our panel. My name is Richard Flowers, and I'm the proud father of a Bronzeville Classical 3rd grader. I've been married to my wife, Erica, for almost 18 years, and we're blessed to have another daughter in 8th grade at Brooks College Prep. I currently work at United Airlines as a principal analyst in our cybersecurity group, tasked with managing our insider threat program. In addition to my day job, I also serve as chief of staff for United's Black Business Resource Group, known as Beacon. Last but not least, I'm a proud member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, where during my tenure, I've held several leadership roles. Since the inception of BCS, I've been dedicated to making sure all of our Eagles receive the best education possible. As part of this quest, I've worked with a group of dedicated parents to start the Friends of Bronzeville Classical School. And since starting FOBCS, we have raised over $30,000 through your support and various community donations. Through that generosity and that of the community, we have been able to fund special projects to enhance the education of our students, along with sponsoring some of our teachers and students and staff to attend additional training and continuing education. If given the opportunity to represent you on the local school council, I plan to be a servant member. I will engage you as a parent or a community member to truly understand your needs and desires for BCS and our broader community. I will advocate on your behalf to ensure our students get the best education possible, along with capitalizing on every advantage available to them. My grandmother used to say, "Till much is given, much is expected." And these words still ring true. I have a duty to not only ensure my child has all the opportunities the world has to offer, but to ensure all of our BCS Eagles have those same opportunities. I humbly ask for your support as I seek a seat on our local school council.
Good evening, everyone. If you would just give us a moment to shift a little bit, we do have one additional candidate who will be joining our forum. And so we're going to shift just a little bit so that she can join us. So please just give us one moment. Okay. Thank you for your patience. Our additional candidate has joined the forum. By default, since we've already completed our lottery, we will just add that candidate to the end of our specimen ballot. And so that will be our last speaker of the evening. Thank you so much for your patience. I believe we are on Mrs. Barclay, so please come on up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Akira Barclay, and since Bronzeville Classical opened its doors in 2018, I have been a visible, passionate supporter and active volunteer, lending my time whenever possible to help build this wonderful school community. Serving as a member of the CIWP committee, as well as parent advisory chair, I have collaborated with Principal Spicer, my fellow parents, teachers and staff, and through these interactions, I have gained an understanding of the tremendous effort it takes to build and maintain a successful Chicago public school. My professional background, like Dr. Barron, includes roles that help me bring a unique perspective to my work as a parent leader here. It includes raising hundreds of thousands of dollars for schools as a development officer, being a school social worker, and as an educational talent search educational advisor. I currently work as a philanthropy consultant and as an adjunct professor at Tulane University. And in addition to my very, very energetic third grade Eagle Molly, I am a parent to a college freshman at the School of Visual Arts in Manhattan and a junior at Kenwood Academy. I am also involved in the community as co-chair of the Southside Giving Circle, the Chicago Foundation for Women, and leader of Girl Scout Troop 21571, and they keep me on my toes. All of that to say, I bring these experiences in addition to being a parent here, and I believe that bringing all of that together, I'm well qualified to serve as a parent representative on Bronzeville Classical's first LSC. If elected, my focus is really to help ensure that Bronzeville Classical maintains its strong leadership and continues to be a school that provides learners with rigorous instruction and attention to their social and emotional needs while encouraging creativity through the arts. I will also work to make sure it remains a school where diversity is celebrated, parent engagement is the norm, and resources and connections to the wider community are abundant. So thank you for your consideration.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Stephen Mitchell. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. I've lived in Bronzeville for 22 years. I'm a lawyer. My practice focuses on personal injury and medical malpractice. I'm also co-owner of Gallery Gishard, an art gallery in Bronzeville, and I'm also owner of Hatch 41, a co-working space across the street from the school. I'm married to Faith Mitchell, who is a CPS school teacher, and I'm the parent of two wonderful kids, Stevie, who is in the third grade, and Ethan, who is in the first grade. I want to serve on the Bronzeville Classical Local School Council because, like Mr. Seaton, and I've been saying this before we open, I want this to be the best school in the country. My commitment to BCS started before the doors even opened. For years prior to BCS opening, the community fought to get a classical school in Bronzeville. We were sending hundreds of kids from Bronzeville, either south or north, but none here in Bronzeville. So with the help of the leadership of the Bronzeville Community Action Council, Alderman Dow, and the advocacy of the community, we were able to bring BCS to our community. And before the doors actually opened, I was actively involved with building a strong foundation for BCS. I was on the committee that interviewed and recommended Ms. Spicer to become principal. I was also on the committees that recommended Ms. Talley to be assistant principal, as well as our new assistant principal, Ms. Bellamy. In fact, I was even on the committee that selected the name, the mascot, and the school colors for Bronzeville Classical. When the school had its first informational at Diet, I sponsored that event. When the school had its first meet and greet at Gallery Gishard, I hosted that event. This was all before the doors even opened. When I visited the school for the first time, I noticed the hallways, the teacher's lounge, the administrative conference for the principal, and all the walls were bare. Understanding the benefits that artwork can bring to the school and the work environment, the Mitchell family furnished all of those spaces with beautiful artwork. I also noticed that there was no place for parents to meet or gather. The Mitchell family provided furniture and artwork to what is now known as the Parent Lounge. Again, this was all before the school even opened. More recently, during Black History Month, we commissioned the Ida B. Wells painting that is located in the lobby. Since the doors have opened, I've helped found and I'm the current vice president of the Friends of Bronzeville Classical, and I've helped to raise approximately 40,000. Richard, I did the numbers, so it's 40,000 since our founding, to help teachers in schools. I've also secured grants and awards from AT&T, Building Community Foundation, and the Freedom Riders, just to name a few. I, along with Michelle Brown, who's running for community rep, have hosted or sponsored an annual event called Bronzeville on Bronx. Through this event, we've been able to raise thousands of dollars in cash, gift cards, and school supplies for Bronzeville Classical. In fact, on a number of occasions, we were able to raise so much, we were able to share the wealth with other Bronzeville schools. In fact, Michelle and I have organized, hosted, or found sponsors for every parent social meet and greet since BCS has opened its door. In addition to that, when we had the trick or treat giveaway during COVID, I secured Fair Pan, a candy company, as a sponsor. When we had coffee with this principal, I secured Starbucks and Michelle Brown at Properties as a sponsor. In total, I have brought in nearly $30,000 in sponsorship for BCS events. In addition to getting resources, I am also a hands-on worker. I have participated on every parent panel since BCS is open. I've chaperoned nearly every field trip. I volunteer to help with school activities. I organize a White Sox outing. I help sell spirit gear. And I've organized 2 community-wide cleaning greens with BCS. I say all of this to say that I am committed to BCS, which is an acronym for my platform. I'm committed to B, bringing resources to BCS. As stated previously, I have brought resources to BCS, and I will continue to do so. I will also make sure that the budget and the CIWP are geared towards the school's mission and goals. Finally, I have relationships with our elected officials so that if BCS has a need or needs resources, I can get a meeting with them so that we can get those needs addressed. C, collaborative problem solving. In addition to providing spaces like the Parent Lounge for events and parent socials to foster discussion and collaboration, I would like to implement the LSC listening mailbox. This would be a mailbox put in the school that provides an opportunity for parents to ask questions, provide feedback, suggestions, or comments regarding anything school related. And S, strengthening the BCS community. The past couple of years have been difficult on everyone, students, teachers, and parents. I want to ensure that the students and teachers have all of the academic resources and the tools they need, but I also want to make sure that the students and teachers have the social and emotional resources that they need as well. Finally, I want to make sure that BCS has a warm and nurturing culture and climate for both the students and the parents. My goal is to create more opportunities for pre-COVID parents to get to know the post-COVID parents and for the incoming parents to get to know us all. Ultimately, this will create a stronger BCS community for us all. In conclusion, my actions have demonstrated that I'm committed to BCS, and it would be my honor to serve as your parent rep on the LSC. So on April 20th, I ask that you vote for me, Stephen S. Mitchell, as your parent LSC representative. Thank you.
All right. Can't quite follow that. Good evening. My name is Fernando Diaz. I am new to the Bronzeville classical community, and I am very grateful for all of the efforts of all the parents here and community members and staff to make this school possible for our family. My name is Fernando Diaz. I'm the proud parent of a kinderstar here at Bronzeville and a preschooler at South Loop Elementary, a very lucky husband, a dog daddy, and a Hyde Park resident. I appreciate you all taking the time to participate in this forum and this process to strengthen our community. This is my family's first year at BCS, and we marvel every day at how much our son Mateo is thriving here. It is my hope that together we can ensure that all children and families are as fortunate as we are. I'm running for local school council because I want our kids to have a chance to meet their grandkids. I worry about our climates, a changing planet, polarized politics, war, and violence in our city. I feel like the best remedy is to get involved and to actually get to know each other again. Here is where I believe the greatest possible impact lives, helping our kids. I've already been fortunate to participate in the search for Principal Spicer's assistant principal and was honored to help judge the Ida B. Wells essay contest. I teach journalism at Northwestern, and before that, I was the editor and publisher of the Chicago Reporter, an investigative nonprofit news organization. I have written and fulfilled multiple six-figure, multi-year grants. I have also managed people, priorities, and expectations, both as a supervisor and employee in union environments. I have served and currently serve on multiple nonprofit boards. I'd like to put these skills to work for our community. As a career journalist, I've dedicated myself to listening and collaborating with many people from diverse backgrounds to create positive impact all over the country. As a child of immigrants, I'm fluent in Spanish and grew up on the East Coast before moving here for college. I'm here because I want to learn from you. I want to listen to you and then work together towards solutions. More than anything, I want to model for my kids that harmony is possible and rooted in understanding. Whether I'm elected or not, I will combine my passion for learning and professional experience in the service of all of our children. Thank you.
Sorry, guys, my mask got caught on. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's funny that I ended up being last. I was trying to avoid being first, but definitely didn't want to be last. But I am here. Thank you all so much. Following a great group of parents, it was fun getting to know them when we had our meet and greet. My name is Raynonda Townsend. Many of you probably have seen my name in GroupMe or in an email as a Bronzeville room parent. I'm a room parent coordinator, I'm sorry. I am the parent of a fifth grader. I have been a part of the BCS family since its inception in 2018, and coming from a homeschooling background, I was very green about how CPS works, so I jumped right in, starting with Principal Spicer and a great group of parents, and also Miss Tally, who's no longer with us, to form the very first CIWP. And it was a joy to be a part of the group that actually established the mission and the direction for the school. Since then, I have also served as the room parent for every grade since we've been here, and the room parent coordinator for the last 3 years. And as a room parent coordinator, I actually work as a liaison between room parents, the administration to help serve the teachers and coordinate support and activities and disseminate school-wide information. I've also served as a volunteer for the Parent Advisory Council, the Friends of Bronzeville, and anywhere else they need me around here, because I am that parent that is committed to making sure that our kids have the best possible educational experience that they can. If I'm elected to the LSC, my first order of business is making sure that Principal Spicer gets her contract and is able to continue the work that she started. She built a great foundation. COVID stepped in and kind of took us off track, but I believe if given the chance and with the right people working on the LSC, we'll get back there and we'll allow them to do what she's always told us is their superpower, and that is teach our kids. Also, I want to be a voice for the parents, because I believe the only way this works is if the parents have a voice. But the parents
and the administrators and the teachers all have to work together. So my commitment would be to strengthen our communication and develop a continuity of conversation around issues and solutions concerning SEL and other developmental issues that impact our children's learning experience. And I will also continue to work hard to increase parent and community engagement at BCS so that our children have an even more supportive and well-rounded experience as students at BCS. I look forward to working with all these wonderful people that keep getting money for our school to get more money, and other partnerships and opportunities that will enhance the educational experience and make sure our teachers have everything that they need to do what we need to do for our kids. And then most importantly, I just look forward to continuing to make sure that our CIWP is looked at with the right kind of eyes, and that we are providing the kind of oversight that is needed and necessary so that we do become the best school in the nation and that we are fiscally responsible. I hope you guys vote for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's not a good one. Oh, goodness. Yeah, now I feel like I'm at the pool pit. All right. Well, hello, everyone. I'm Tressa Razak. I am a parent of a fifth grader here at Bronzeville Classical. I don't exactly recall the actual year my daughter started here. So I'm not sure if it is 2001. It was 2021. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm trying to get cues from the principal and my daughter. So a little bit about myself is that I do not have all the glamorous background you guys all have, all the other candidates, but I have worked with a lot of people in different backgrounds, going from law enforcement to also working as a clerk and an assistant to a lawyer, working in sales, working as also a security guard to high schools, working with psychology, including having it done with my professor. I was a good guinea pig, with trying to understand children and being an assistant aide to a daycare provider. And that was since the age of 16. Have a background with academic programs, including one called Axel. It's known a lot in the northwest suburbs. And that was mostly where I had most of my teen years, because I'm a millennial parent. So my years of being in that program, where I learned about the NAACP and standing up for rights and things. So with that, and being a parent at Mollison, where I have 2 younger children residing, I was encouraged by the fellow parents there to join on as a PAC parent, to where I became the chairman of PAC, and then joined on the LSC, to where I've had a background with the LSC for about close to 4 years now. So I am familiar with LSC, the LSC business, and how it's conducted. I do agree with keeping Principal Spicer for your contract, because since I've been here at Bronzeville Classical, she has been welcoming. She even went above and beyond when there were situations where I could not get things done for my daughter. She showed the leadership that she is an amazing woman of going above and beyond. I'm sorry, I don't want to ramble, but with that, I would like to say that I feel that I will bring the attributes of a team player. I don't mind working in the background. I'm good at silence work. So working in the background is my forte, understanding the community, coming from the terms of rags to riches, and understanding nature versus nurture with the community, how certain kids in the area and adults are adapting and things are changing. I too can contest of that with my 5th grader adapting from one environment of a school to now this one at Bronzeville Classical. Seeing a major difference,
I feel like I can step forward now with partaking and being on the LST here at Bronzeville Classical, even with 4 children of my own, including a newbie that candidates here witnessed. I don't feel like that's overwhelming at all because I like to work in a what's considered a stressful environment. So where things where people feel like they can't get done, I like to be the person that say we can get it done. So I'm in the realm of making sure that LST business is taken care of on the forefront, and parents' needs are met, student needs are met, which I already know Bronzeville is being met. But I feel like I can help escalate that attribute for the parents here, especially any future parents that are coming in that are also millennial, because I'm one of them. So this is, I guess, my little repertoire of myself, even though it's kind of ramblish. But I feel that I'm a good candidate for the LSC council. So it's my statement for the LSC representative.
Thank you so much. We are so fortunate to have 9 parent candidates for our 6 parent slots. So hopefully you are at home taking copious notes like your students do throughout the school day, because we have some fantastic candidates that bring a myriad of strengths, talents, and gifts, and their commitment to the BCS school community. And I am very, very fortunate to transition to our community representatives who have already selected their order that they will speak to you all this evening. We also are fortunate to have 4 individuals who are deeply committed to our school community and interested in making our school community even better than it already is. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our community representative candidates, and they will speak in the order that we've already drawn for this evening.
Well, good evening. I'm going to start with something Pastor Chris Harris says, which I always find interesting and funny. He's the president of the GBCAC, and he says, I'm from the soil of Bronzeville. My grandmother is a 1943 grad of DuSable, and my grandfather is a 1939 grad of Phillips. So my son is a 4th generation Southside Chicago, and I married a West Sider who also happens to be a Chicago Public Schools principal in North Lawndale. So shout out to my wife, Tamara. And I am the proud uncle of a 1st grader here, Dominic, and a proud neighbor of my Sayla, a 3rd grader here as well. There's a lot to say. This is my 26th year in education. Been a resident in the greater Bronzeville community, which according to the ARA goes from 26th North, 67th South, west to the Dan Ryan, and east to the lake. So I've lived and raised my family in this community. And I think what's interesting about classical schools and about magnet schools is that it's hard to build and develop community because the families come in and often don't necessarily, even though so many of our parents, representatives who live close and have students attending other schools around. It's hard to build community. My son is a graduate of Skinner Classical and Whitney M. Young Magnet High School, the Dolphins. And I'm also a former teacher and a graduate myself from Whitney Young. So I think the idea of building a school and working with the community to build a school and to build a school grade by grade has been a very unique opportunity for Principal Spicer and the group that's been so engaged over this time. And my specialty is middle school and high school. I spend a lot of time working with middle school and high school students, parents, teachers. I work with families on how they navigate school choice. And I also think it's interesting the history of how we ended up with magnet schools in our city, which is to desegregate schools. So, and then we added the extra layer of testing onto that. I set my own timer to make sure that I would, as a good teacher, that I would get to that 2 minutes. So the idea being that as a community member, as a person that has lived in this community over this time, and I've also worked with Principal Spicer through the network office, because I also liaison with the office for partnerships with the University of Chicago. So I think one of the most important things, and everybody's mentioned, this is a fantastic group of parents, a well-resourced, well-versed, well-experienced with children at other schools and understanding the dynamics of the community in school, is the role of LSC is also to advise and consent as we watch the Honorable Ketanji Brown Jackson go through the ringer with our confirmation hearings. And the idea that we're also here to advise, keep the school on the right path, get the right leadership in place, support the principal in achieving another 4-year contract. And that continuity of 8 years is super important. So I've sat in the role as a teacher, sat in the role as a parent, sat in the role as a community member, and would love your support to be part, to join the BCS family as a community rep for the local school council. And what I bring with me, I think it's interesting. My big brother, Daryl Seaton, mentioned his superpower. I was just asked this in a meeting the other day, and I said, my superpower is teaching people how to do stuff because that's what I've done my entire adult life. But it's also about connectivity, bringing partnerships together and bringing partnerships and programs together that fit and align with the mission. A lot of schools are over-programmed, and you try not to do that. And I know Principal Spicer does a great job of that, but it's about being selective and connecting those things to the things that the school wants to do and the parents, the families, and the communities want to do as well. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Michelle Brown, and I have lived and worked in Bronzeville for many years. And I became acquainted with Bronzeville Classical School through the Parents Association. I have worked with the Parents Association, with Mr. Flowers, Mr. Mitchell, and many others to support the school. I've been very committed to this. I will continue to be committed. And in Bronzeville, I've actually been committed to many of the not-for-profit, the community work in the area. I'm also the secretary of the DAC. I'm on the board of the Bronzeville Neighborhood Collaborative. I have a business in Bronzeville. I sell real estate. And from that, I really want to say that I have always maintained that the foundation of any community is its school. You cannot have a good, thriving community without a good, thriving school. And that's why I work in the community. That's why Bronzeville Classical School is so important and has been so exciting for me to work. And I appreciate the honor and the chance to have worked in support of the school. As a local school council member, I would continue that work in a more formal way. I certainly have experience in not only running a business, but years of community work that I would bring to supporting the school, and just an absolute commitment to the school and to the community. So I hope that you will vote for me. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Eagles, Eagle parents, grandmas and grandpas, in the wider Bronzeville and Douglas community. And of course, shout out to this cohort of very, very established. A number of people have said this, but there is a really, really well-resourced, very committed and dedicated, very driven group of parents and community representatives here that are really passionate about this school. My name is Brittany McGee. I am a leader with vision and passion for excellence in education and significant experience on social issues. I'm delighted to be running to serve as a community representative for the Bronzeville Classical LSC, and happy to tell you a little bit more about myself. I've lived in Bronzeville for most of my all of my adult life, actually, about 10 years. And I'm an active and engaged neighbor. I live in the Gap specifically. I'm a part of the Gap community group and in the neighborhood club. And as I said, I care deeply about the safety, well-being, and economic mobility of children in our community. It is crucial that this school exists, that it thrives, that it is nurtured, and that it flourishes not only for the children of the parents here that are spending their Wednesday night with us, but for all of the children that attend this school and the children in our wider Bronzeville community. So I'm really excited that this community is rallying around this school, and I would like to be a part of the work that goes into making this school. A few people have said here, the best in the country and renowned in this world for models of education, for models of children's stewardship, and really nurturing the holistic well-being of the child. As a community representative, I pledge to monitor the school's advancement and improvement plan, to see that the school budget is properly maintained and services all students equitably, and ensure that BCS remains a top-tier elementary option for families in Bronzeville. We've already gotten the map of how wide our community is. This includes ensuring that the school grounds are safe, that partner relationships are fostered and nurtured, and that BCS is accessible, responsive, and accommodating to our students and their parents and the wider community. So a two-way street here. In my professional career, I serve as the Director of Community Engagement at the Chicago Council on Global Affairs, a foreign policy think tank based in our city, the only foreign policy think tank based in the Midwest, not on the coasts. And there I lead programming designed to help the community, and specifically Chicago, and in particular, young professionals and students understand the world around them. So what's going on in Chicago, what's going on in Bronzeville, and how that relates to what's going on around the world. To that effect, as the Director of Community Engagement, I too have done my share of begging people for money. The council is a nonprofit, and I have significant major donor fundraising experience and corporate partnership experience, having worked with major companies in Chicago like Boeing, McDonald's, Goldman Sachs, UL, Northern Trust, etc., and look forward to bringing that expertise and those connections to this community and to help resource our school here. I just want to close by saying that any vote cast in this election is a vote for a very healthy future for this school. I am surrounded by people who are really, really committed to making sure that this is a healthy and nourishing environment for our students. That said, I hope that you'll vote for me, Brittany McGee, for community representative. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I believe I am bringing up the rear here, so I promise not to be before you long. Thank you for your patience and listening to all of my esteemed colleagues here share their credentials. I'll try not to be repetitive, but I have to acknowledge my colleague here because my family is also native Bronzeville people. My grandmother moved here from Arkansas in 1951, and I believe she's the longest living resident of Lake Meadows community. So she'll be 91 on July 1st, so she's still So I'm excited to present my qualifications as a candidate for the Bronzeville Classical School Local School Council. I've spent the last 17 years in the field of education, serving youth from the Chicagoland area. I received a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics and a Master of Arts and a PhD in Education Policy, Organization, and Leadership from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Go Illini, ILL. There you go. After finishing my undergraduate studies, I worked as an elementary summer school teacher before starting graduate school. Upon completion of my PhD, I worked as a professor in the fields of education, history, African American studies, and gender and women's studies. Currently, I serve as the Vice President of Programs at Chicago Scholars, an education nonprofit serving Chicago's first-generation students and students from low-income communities. I oversee all aspects of scholar programming to achieve our focus of a more vibrant Chicago powered by diverse leaders from every community. We uniquely select, train, and mentor our scholars to complete college and become the next generation of leaders who will transform their neighborhoods and our city. I am running for the LSC because I am deeply committed to serving Chicago's youth and ensuring they have the access and resources necessary to actualize their highest potential. As a native Chicagoan, born and raised in Bronzeville and born in Bronzeville at Mercy Hospital, I'm especially dedicated to supporting our scholars and giving back to my community. If selected to the LSC, I plan to work with the other council members to ensure the school's academic plan, budget, and resources best serve the needs of the students of Bronzeville. I'm an accountable, transparent, and empathetic leader who will be a great steward and advocate for the students and families of Bronzeville Classical School. And I'll close by adding, I bring my unique professional background in education, and I've dedicated my life's work to the education of our youth, specifically here in Chicago. And I bring that knowledge and expertise with me if elected to the LSC. I am the proud wife of attorney Keon Pope, who provided the legal support to start Friends of Bronzeville, as many of you are a part of. And we are the doting parents of a wonderful and very busy toddler, Keon Pope II, who we hope will one day attend Bronzeville Classical School, which only deepens my commitment to ensuring that BCS thrives and actualizes its highest potential. Please consider me, Tamara Hoff Pope, for community representative for LSC. I would greatly appreciate your vote. Thank you for your time and consideration.
So to all of our families listening in the audience, we have a healthy college debate pride going on with our panel behind me. But please excuse my back. I just want to say thank you to all of our candidates who are interested in being a part of the legacy of our school. Each and every one of you have definitely been a part of the road that got us here. Definitely can't get here without parents because we would not have any children. We appreciate our community partners because it is through those strategic and intentional relationships that our students have exposure and opportunity to what is going to make them the next generation of public leaders. So I just wanted to say thank you while our audience was here, so that we don't want to be remiss in that, knowing that our school is very, very fortunate to have so many candidates who are really interested and vested in our success. So with that, great news. We only have 2 questions for you all. Mr. Spears is going to come up as the moderator. Each candidate will have an opportunity to answer both questions, and we will follow the order in which we did our opening statements, which will also be the order in which you will appear on the ballot. If there are no questions about the last segment of our forum tonight, I'm going to turn it over to our moderator. Thank you, guys. Mr. Spears.
I'm just going to stay here.
Of course.
So candidates, we have 2 questions. I'll read the first question and then we'll start at the top with Dr. Barron answering the question. We do ask that you limit your responses to 30 to 45 seconds. I will put a 30-second timer on, so when you hear the timer go off, just be aware of your time and your answer. So the first question that we have from our YouTube watchers is, how will candidates incorporate parent voices and perspectives in the local school council? Once again, how will candidates incorporate parent voices and perspectives in the local school council? Dr. Barron.
All right. How will we basically hear our parents' voices? And I think that's very important perspective and aspect of being an LSC member. And we will, one of the ideas that even Steve put in is having, an opportunity for parents to give questions, give advice, give concerns. But we want to make sure that we're ground rooted into the communities, into developing relationships with the parents, giving avenues where they can reach out and speak to us individually as a group, have a connection with the school. And so just looking at different various ways to provide those avenues for parents to discuss with us, or as a group or as individuals to express their concerns. So, we'll just look at having suggestion boxes and all different types of avenues for them, online, different things like that.
Hello again. The great thing about that question you asked, this is something we've exercised since we started Bronzeville Classical. And I believe we followed our fearless leaders lead in that. Principal Spicer, I mean, from the time that this school was opening, she made herself accessible to us by any means necessary. We built all kinds of communication chains between the parents, between the schools. Now we got the technology, we got Zoom, we got webcasts, we got everything under the sun. There is no reason why we should not be able to hear from these parents on a consistent basis. Now, how we go about setting that up so that we're constantly reviewing that information, that's something as a team we'll be able to work on, but I doubt that anybody's gonna go unnoticed. That's just how we have been at BCS. Wouldn't you all agree? All right.
Good evening again. My name is Gerald Seaton. I currently serve on the LSC at a different Chicago public school, and I was thrust into that role because of the pandemic. As a result of that, I negotiated a truce between the parents, staff, and the teachers at that school when in-person learning began. As following up on that, I've hosted Zoom calls probably every other month for parents at that school to receive feedback, to receive criticism, to address concerns they have about the level of education, the direction of the school, etc., and have communicated that to the administration and teachers whenever and wherever possible. So I will continue that, whether that be grade by grade. Schools are incorporating all the parents in the school is TBD, because that's a lot for one person to take on. But I think having that consistent conduit for parents to share their feelings is important, and I'd like to bring that here to the school. Thank you.
Good evening again, Richard Flowers. As I said in my opening, I plan to be a servant leader, so that just means listening to the parents and engaging them and understanding the parents and the community. But in my day job, working in digital technology, we use the tools that we have available, whether that's having a old school mailbox where you're down in the lobby and you can put a comment in the box, whether we use email, group me, text messaging, they're all kind of avenues. But whatever, to Joyce's point, we've always been a collaborative community and we will continue that.
In terms of incorporated parent voice, it is something that I have had a hand in since 2018 as parent advisory chair, where we encourage parents to reach out, add items to the agenda. Our parent advisory meetings is something that COVID has taken from us. We used to have monthly, but with an LSC, a formal LSC, we have the opportunity to encourage our parents to attend LSC meetings. And then we also have the opportunity to develop appropriate LSC subcommittees so that we make sure that we have constructive avenues for parents to be heard and for us to actually do something with the information that they share with us.
As I mentioned in my statement, I'd like to implement the LSC listening box, mailbox where parents can give comments, suggestions, or feedback. In addition to that, I think periodic surveys of the parents would allow them to give feedback to address any of their concerns. And finally, I think just being present, talking to the parents, seeing the parents, and being around and understanding what is on the mind of parents will all give an opportunity to incorporate feedback in the LSC strategy. Thank you.
Hey there. As a trained journalist and an investigative reporter, I would ensure that we would hew to the Open Meetings Act. We are required by law to publish agendas, share reports. Also, when not teaching at Northwestern, I work for a division of WordPress.com. So I would be involved in helping set up a website to be able to collect information, set up forums, to submit ideas, and also to post meeting minutes and recordings. And we're all engaged now digitally via Zoom, so we would ideally want to schedule meetings in a way that could accommodate the widest participation of parents in the community.
Hello again, Raynalda Townsend. So, for those of you who know me, you already know when you come to me with your concerns, I tell Ms. Spicer and I tell Ms. Barclay. So, just bringing that to the LSC to make sure that we're addressing the needs and concerns, talking about them, and making sure every parent is heard.
Promise I'm not on the school bus.
You fed a whole human.
Back on the-
You can take as much time as you want. That's great.
To have involvement with parents is something very important to me. A little bit with my background, I am an acting LSC chairman at another school, which is Monsville. I'm sorry, I have to say Monsville. Goodness, no, I'm not running for the chair. Is Mollison Elementary, where parent involvement is something that's been ignored, and I have pushed and continue to push to go and have parents involved, and gone and done the footwork to where parents feel like they are welcome to be involved. And that includes also having a functioning parent room, which we have fought to have for 5 years at Mollison. So with that background, with the after school, anything going from after school programs to field trips, I've always been the forefront person to go out and do lab work, even with my munchkins, to have the parents involved, and they have an open door policy on them reaching out to me via cell phone or text or email. So that's it.
I believe this is more about there seems to be a lot of communication. I've heard about the Bronzeville emails and texts from my relatives and neighbors. I think it's about the parents that are currently not engaged. So what does it mean for parents that don't have the time to engage? They have a caregiver or someone else in their household that is the kind of point person for the child here. So I think it's about establishing communication and opportunities for parents to get together that haven't been able to communicate or don't have the ability to for whatever reason. So I work in family and community engagement on a pretty regular basis and understand that as a person that was the lead parent in my house, while my wife had to be the lead principal at the school she was at. So it's about working together in those spaces and making opportunities for parents to share.
Ms. Brown.
Hi, Michelle Brown again. I absolutely 100% support any parent engagement and communication, and would want to foster that through all of the means necessary, through emails, through Zoom, through surveys, through suggestion boxes, whatever it is. And more importantly, through just being available and welcoming, so parents would feel that they have a voice in this very important decision at their school.
I agree with all that's been said. I think that we need to be intentional about making sure that parents in the school community have access to information. But I think more than that, we need to not just engage our parents when we need something from them or want something from them, but make sure that they are engaged in all steps of the process and are well aware of the work and even planning that the school council is thinking about. So before decisions are actually made, in bringing them into that process and making sure they're a part of it. I also will echo being accessible to every parent situation and meeting parents where they are, knowing that some of our parents have students at multiple schools, have multiple children, have multiple jobs. So really being an advocate for equity in that way and making sure that we're making this easy for parents to understand and be kept abreast of what's going on in our school, in our community.
Good evening again, Tamara Hoff-Pope. And I agree with all of the candidates here that we should leverage every form of technology that we can, Dropbox, GroupMe, text. But I think on a basic level for those folks who just want to pick up the phone and call, just being available and being accessible to you to do that. And then also just being present, showing up at BCS events, meeting parents, allowing you to voice your concerns and your issues there as well, I think is the best approach for allowing parents to be able to voice their concerns.
Thank you, everyone. Our final question this evening is, what do you believe is the LSC's role in driving academic standards at BCS? Once again, what do you believe is the LSC's role in driving academic standards at BCS? I would like to point out, while you're thinking about that question, we did have several other questions that were posed in the chat as we started our question and answer portion. We will note those questions for you and give those out to the candidates. So if they want to address those in any literature that they were going to be handing out, or any other forms that they want to take to reach out, then they'll have the opportunity to answer those at a later date. So again, what do you believe is the LSC's role in driving academic standards at BCS?
Again, this is Dr. Charles Barron. So the role for the LSC, I truly believe, first and foremost, is accountability. Holding not only Principal Spicer, but the teachers, all stakeholders, to be accountable for what we say we're going to do, and then also be able to present data to back up those things. Not just say that we're going to have educational equity, but how are we getting there? Show me the data that shows that. So it's about equitable outcomes, and we have to, as an LSC team, we have to hold them accountable.
Okay, good question. So I didn't start out by saying what I did for a living. I guess I'm a full-time parent and a part-time nurse, but I'm a research coordinator. So I'm one of those individuals that I check and double check everything, research, you name it, I got it. And I believe that's what we're going to need to do here. We don't want to reinvent the wheel, but we also need to look at where we came from, make necessary changes, and move forward. I think, again, as I mentioned before, it's going to be important that we have good teachers with good backgrounds, maintain our principal. I mean, she was here when we started, and she has promised, the world to us when it came to who was going to educate our children. And I support her in that, because she's come forward and she's delivered that. And I think that's going to be the important thing about how we continue to go forward, that we can continue to maintain that, maintain her, maintain those students, review the data, as Dr. said. We don't need to we'll learn from our mistakes, basically. Thank you. No mistakes, though.
Good evening again. This is Daryl Seaton. I believe the LSC's role is to incorporate the standards that have been adopted by the administration of the school first and foremost, to examine the data that testing reveals about our students and where they are, to provide feedback on how the process is going, and if need be, lead the change to address those concerns to help or to continue to further elevate the school's academic performance. Thank you.
Richard Flowers. First and foremost, I think we have to engage leadership, work with leadership, and be a collaborative entity. And in that, I would take in the LSC's role, I think that we have to agree that if we're going to fail, we have to learn how to fail and fail fast. We use data, analyze that data, and then if something isn't working, have a collaborative effort to pivot and move forward with a new idea.
Good evening, Stephen Mitchell again. I think we play a critical role. I think probably one of the most important roles in monitoring the CIWP, making sure that the teachers and staff have all the resources they need. And if we fall short somewhere, analyze the data and make sure that we give the resources and tools to meet the CIWP. And if we don't, then we examine what needs to happen next. But the LSC, next to the administration, probably plays the most critical role of all in accomplishing our goals. Thanks.
Ms. Barclay, we skipped you.
I would like to just go back to we made reference to our continuous improvement work plan, which really is the blueprint for what we will do as a local school council. We built into that CIWP a process for monitoring our academic standards and what to do if we find that we don't meet them. I'm reminded of Ms. Bellamy's interview process and just how we are such a committed group. We have our instructional leadership team, we have our administrators, we have our parents, we have all the resources that we need as a local school council to make sure that we meet our academic standard.
Thank you, Fernando Diaz again, parent candidate. I think we have to look at the data and we need to understand where folks need the most help, whether it's in the parent community or whether it's the children. But if we're going to be equitable, we need to make sure that we don't leave anybody behind.
Being last is not fun because everything's already covered, but basically the LSC's role is oversight and accountability, and there's really not much more to it than that.
All right. The main thing with the academics, I know piggybacking a lot is being done up here. But the situation of the CIWP is something that needs to be followed with the stakeholders, making sure parents are feeling welcome and engaged to help motivate the students as well as the stakeholders, which are also the teachers, going all the way up to the administrative. The main thing with the CIWP is upholding the 5 pillars, which includes the budget as well. So everything will cover the grounds for the academic.
This may not be popular with a large group of very educated people, but I'm just going to say trust the experts. That the school is run by highly qualified people. You chose a great principal and you participate in a process where you choose great teachers. So part of upholding the instruction is by supporting that vision and being dogged and supporting that. You can't do it through fundraising and the budget and the CIWP, but sometimes the CIWP is not a living document, and sometimes it's an accountability document and not something that is exercised in a way it normally needs to be exercised in school. So I'm just going to say trust the experts, be supportive, and if you see something, say something. But I think also building in middle school, I think is super important, and having some qualified teachers to do the 6 through 12 work so those students can advance when they get to some of the great high schools in our city.
Michelle Brown, it sounds like everything has been said, but back again, I think supporting the school, watching the data, and then seeing if there is a lack, fixing that, supporting it, being intentional, getting onto it, and where things are going really well, boost those things. So it's not always a negative issue, but many times it's a point of boosting what's going very well.
Affirm, support, evaluate, adjust. That's it.
Tamara Huff Pope here again, and I would have to agree with my colleague here that we should trust the experts, and I would count myself as one of those experts, having degrees in education, particularly in educational leadership. But I would say the role of the LSC is multi-tiered. So 1, safety, because we know that our kids cannot learn unless they feel safe. So we know that from Maslow's hierarchy of needs. 2nd, we need effective school leadership, which I know we have in Principal Spicer and her team. 3rd, we need a well-researched and proven curriculum, which I think we should have oversight of to make sure that our students are getting the best education that they possibly can. And then finally, we need fiscal accountability. And that is making sure that we're using all of our resources appropriately and with fidelity in the best interest of training and teaching the whole child. Thank you.
All right, I believe that's everybody.
Thank you again to all of our parent and community rep candidates. Thank you for adhering to the time limit and being concise and detailed with your responses. I do want to take a point of principal privilege. I get that from Mr. Flowers. For those in our school community, you know that for the past, I guess over a year now, I've really been, with the support of our team, leading Bronzeville by myself. I did not know what I was getting myself into when I made that very difficult decision when our first assistant principal has moved on to become principal of another school. But after a long year and 6 weeks of waiting, we finally have an assistant principal. She is here with us this evening. She started on Monday, and we have really hit the ground running. I think that with the support of some of the folks that you see here this evening, that process was exactly what it needed to be, so that we have the correct candidate. So I would like to invite AP Bellamy up just to come and say hello very quickly. She is visible during arrival and dismissal. She has on her BCS gear, so she will be easy to spot. So please make sure you welcome her with our BCS warm welcome, and I'll turn it over to her, and then we'll close out this evening.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Principal Spicer. And I want to take a moment to thank all of the parents and any community members that were a part of the process for the AP selection. I was so eager to start right away. It took us much longer than anticipated to go through the onboarding process, but these first 3 days at Bronzeville Classical has been amazing. I've been warmly welcomed by the Friends of Bronzeville, students and staff, and I know that I am in the right place. So I look forward to finding out the results of the LSC. We have a lot of great candidates. So I enjoyed, on my way back from dropping off my children after picking them up from school, I was connected electronically. So I got a chance to see and hear a lot of what was said. So good luck to everyone.
Thank you.
So with that, I like to, I have one more person that I need to thank. I do nothing technology around here. Logistics is not my jam, so I'm happy that is AP Bellamy's jam. But Mr. Spears has graciously stepped into that role and made sure that we have covered all the logistics, all the details. He makes diagrams for me. You all have no idea how fortunate we are to have him. He's extremely humble. He never tells anyone that he is a Golden Apple Teacher of Distinction. And Friday is going to be his actual last day because he will be starting his sabbatical and taking his classes at Northwestern University this spring and over the summer to kick off our dynamic band program that we're going to start next year. So we're super excited for him. But I did want to publicly thank Mr. Spears because everything you see is Mr. Spears. It is not Principal Spicer. So I just have the right folks on the team. So I'm extremely thankful for him, and I just want to publicly say thank you for these past 6 weeks. I don't know how I would have done it without you, and I'm so excited that you get to further your learning and deepen your toolbox and become an even better music teacher than I could have ever prayed for. So thank you so much, Mr. Spears, and I wish you well.